Hey, good morning, good afternoon, or evening, whenever you're watching this. I don't know. We're going to do another video, this time on the spinal cord. So check this out. This is a cross-section of the spinal cord. Of course, the spinal cord has three big functions. It's going to send sensory signals up to the brain. It's going to send motor signals down from the brain, eventually out to your periphery, to all your effectors. It's also going to coordinate reflexes, take care of reflex arcs. We'll talk about those hopefully in another video. All right, so look at this guy here. In this cross section, we got the spinal cord in here, okay, and then we have basically what amounts to bundles of axons coming in and coming out. All right, so in the spinal cord, notice we have two different colors. There is a darker and a lighter. The light stuff is called white matter. It's white because it's made of myelinated axons. Remember, myelin is going to be that myelin is going to be that glial cell product that insulates an axon, allowing for protection and for the increased speed of action potentials. And since that myelination consists of wrapping the cell membrane around an axon, and because the cell membrane is made of phospholipids, which are lipids, it imparts a yellowish to whitish color, hence white matter. So we got white matter out here, got white matter here and here as well. The white matter has some indentations. There is a posterior median sulcus, Sulci are shallow. And then on the other side, there is an anterior median fissures. Fissures are far bigger, okay? Now, as we look at this white matter, we got to realize it is divided up into columns or funiculi. I don't know which term you would prefer, columns or funiculi. Funiculi is more fun to say. And when we look at this guy, there are columns in the back, posterior columns, there are lateral columns over here, and there are anterior columns right there. Okay, what else can we see? Well, we got this gray matter in here. The gray matter, the butterfly-shaped thing, is primarily made of cell bodies. Somata is a proper term for neuron cell bodies. And because it's made of cell bodies, the gray matter is where most of our integration, most of our processing of information is going to occur, while the white matter is primarily used for sending signals up and down, because we got axons there. So primarily we've got motor neuron and interneuron cell bodies in here. We're also going to have dendrites and unmyelinated axons as well. Now, as we look at this guy here, the butterfly, it has two sides, two wings, and each side has two sticky out parts. These are called horns. So here's a dorsal horn, here is a ventral horn, dorsal horn, ventral horn. Now, in the thoracic and lumbar spinal cord, there is also a small sticky out on the side called the lateral horn. So we need to go through all three of those in turn. Let's start with the ventral horn. The ventral horn is going to contain cell bodies of motor neurons. All right, so motor neuron axons are going to come out of the ventral horn. They're going to go through these ventral rootlets, which are small bundles of axons. They unite to make a larger bundle called the ventral root, which unites with a dorsal root, which we'll talk about in a second, in the back, to make a spinal nerve. So this is one of our 62 spinal nerves. Remember, there's 31 pairs of spinal nerves. This is one of them. Comes out through an intervertebral foramen to go wherever it's going. All right, so motor neuron cell bodies in here, axons coming out this way. Make sure you know what would happen if we were to cut this. All right, what else? Dorsal horn. Dorsal horn is where sensory neurons enter. So sensory neuron axons will actually be in the spinal nerve. Then they'll keep going, and they'll pass by their cell bodies. Remember, sensory neurons are unipolar neurons. So their cell bodies, let me draw a unipolar neuron. This is going to be the most scientific drawing of a unipolar neuron. You ready? Oh no, my pencil's breaking. Sorry for the downtime here. There we go. Check this out. This is fancy. There is a unipolar neuron, all right? So the axon, the signal, is going to come along this way, come along this way and keep on going. And it goes right past the cell body. Okay, so bearing that in mind, back to this guy here. Here is our spinal nerve. The sensory neuron axon is going to come in here, past the cell body. Cell bodies are clustered in here. Then we keep on going. We're in our dorsal root now. Keep on going to dorsal rootlets. Then the axons go into the dorsal horn. And they'll either synapse all the way down onto motor neuron cell bodies in the ventral horn, or they'll synapse on interneurons, which will then connect to the ventral horn. Okay, remember we said we went through this thing, this swelling? That's where the cell bodies are. And you got to recall that a cluster of cell bodies that is found in your peripheral nervous system, in other words, outside the spinal cord, because, you know, if we're over here, we're not in the spinal cord anymore. So this is a ganglion. Because it's part of the dorsal root, it's a dorsal root ganglion. And it contains the sensory neuron cell bodies. All right, this is fun. I know you agree with me. You're shaking your head and saying, yes, yes it is. What else do we have here? Lateral horn. Now, we mentioned the ventral horn contained motor neuron cell bodies. I actually got to backtrack a little bit. Those are somatic motor neuron cell bodies. Somatic means controlling the body. So the motor neurons there are generally going to go to skeletal muscles. However, in our lateral horn, which we have in our lumbar and thoracic spinal cord, we've got sympathetic motor neuron cell bodies, which are going to send signals to things like cardiac muscle, smooth muscle, glands, adipocytes, all that good stuff. All right, what else? What else do we have here? Well, we also have this connecting region in the middle. This connecting region in the middle is called the gray commissure, which is a fun word to say, commissure. And it connects to two sides. All right, so sometimes there's going to be a reflex where the sensory signal comes in on one side, then the motor response has got to come out on the other. All right? There's something called the crossed extensor reflex. If I demonstrate. So I'm standing up now. You see me right there. Let's say I step on something sharp. All right? As I step on something sharp with my right foot, my right leg's got to come up. But my whole left side has got to extend to stabilize myself. So there has to be a connection between the two sides, and that connection can occur because of that gray commissure. All right, there's a hole in the gray commissure. That hole is the central canal. I know you've met central canals in other places as well. So it's not a new term, but just a new use of it. And the central canal there contains good old CSF, cerebrospinal fluid. All right. Trying to think if there's anything else I need to do on this model with you guys. I don't think so. So I'm going to put this over here, and I'm going to grab this guy. Because it's basically the same exact thing. Same exact thing. Just, you know, a little different color and stuff. Here's my spinal nerve. Here's my ventral and dorsal root. Here's my dorsal root ganglion. Remember, motor neurons coming out this way. They're axons. Sensory neuron axons coming in this way. And because those sensory neurons are unipolar, remember, here's our unipolar neuron. Boom. Right? Because our sensory neurons are unipolar, the cell bodies are in here, which is the dorsal root ganglion. All right, we still see white matter around here. We see gray matter in here. White matter is divided into columns or funiculi, posterior, lateral, anterior. And white matter, of course, is myelinated axons. Now, gray matter, we got our dorsal, lateral, ventral horn. Remember, dorsal horn is where sensory neuron axons are coming in via the dorsal root ganglion, dorsal rootlets in here. Ventral horn is where motor neuron cell bodies are going to be, and those are somatic motor neurons. And they're going to be coming out ventral horn, ventral root to the spinal nerve. Lateral horn, sympathetic motor neuron cell bodies. We also see the gray commissure. And this is kind of cool. When you look at it on this side, you can see the central canal in section here. And of course, the central canal would contain cerebrospinal fluid. So, everybody, I hope that was helpful, beneficial, or some combination. See you later.